Hello, y'all. How y'all doing? So this is mostly a discussion that, if anybody wanted to, of the documentary premiere that happened a moment ago. It's like I saw a few viewers. Um, if anybody would like to join, here's the link is in the description. I'd also put it in the chat momentarily. Hmm. I wonder why uh, my chat little screen isn't showing as normal, but it's there nonetheless. The live chat. By the way, I did update the images into travel far. If we have any readers, uh, you can go ahead and check that out at darrellleeberryjr.com. So all the images should be up to date. I'm gonna move some things around a bit here. So I plan on actually going through uh, all the different discussions and debates and so forth that I've had. I don't know. I'm not sure how long it'll take. Uh, just whenever I'm interested in making another installment, but it was something I was thinking about doing as far as trying to codify exactly um, the different characteristics or principles, the prime characteristics that I've observed in these people who believe the Earth is flat or concave or convex or stationary or whatever their different flavor of globe denial, whatever their specific flavor of stupidity or ignorance or denial or delusion or laziness is. So I'll stay here for a few more minutes, see if anybody wants to join. If nobody does, I'll probably end the stream for today. Oh, got somebody looking to join now. Hey, what's going on, Logan? Doing good. What did you think about the first part of the documentary? Would you say that I was being fair? Huh? Go ahead. Mm-hmm. Mm. So, what are your thoughts with some feedback on it? What can you say about it? Mm, that is true. Well, yeah, yeah. I'll say I'll to determine who that is, right? That's right. I mean, I've heard of people behind the scenes admitting to it, but again, I wasn't there. I can't really say. And um, you know, but one thing we can say, even if we can't determine who may be telling the truth about as far as their sincerely believe the Earth is flat, or who may be, um, just trying to make a buck. For one thing, for sure, we can look at the argument and point out that it's stupid, or just delusional, or whatever the case is. So at least that'll never change. Hmm. So going through the content, man, there's so many different videos over uh, the time frame. Say what's going on. Oh, I'm sorry, no sound from guests. Oh, I think they can hear him now. Thanks, Crashers. I didn't unmute your side, but Logan was saying that we the five different principles don't take into account the people who may be dishonest about believing the Earth is flat just to get some views and make some bucks on advertisement or whatever. So here it is pointing out that there could be another category, a cis category. I guess we can call that charlatans, I guess. But that we can't really, it'd be hard to, we can't read their minds. It'd be kind of hard to see who the charlatans are. Uh, and I was saying, of course, still their argument is still, we can still look at their argument and point out the fact that it's stupid or ignorant or delusional or lazy or just denying whatever facts it is in the arguments or whatever. But shame on them, the ones that do that. But hey, we fund a whole group of people who do stuff like that, like the government people. I mean,
Well,
so
yeah.
can't be so mad
I
at
mean,
them.
we don't have much choice though.
Interesting. Well, how do we not have much choice? How would you say?
Oh, I mean, if you don't pay taxes, I mean, they're gonna come after you, right?
Yeah, I don't see how
I
we
mean,
don't collectively have much choice. I mean, that's a common belief, but it's simply not true.
oh, I mean, yeah. Like if we all came together,
Yeah, of course.
we could definitely change the system for sure.
I mean, the United States itself is an example of that because United States itself came about because of things like that. They wasn't getting represented in government. They was getting overtaxed and so on and so forth. And it was like, look, we're free. We're not
Yeah.
doing this anymore. And the government was like, now y'all doing it. And it was like, no, we're not. And the government was like, okay, we're going to come get you. And they all banded together and killed them until they realized, okay, we're going to have to stop doing this or we're going to all die. Then they left them alone. So if we wanted to, we could easily do that. So,
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, the people do have the power. It's
mhm,
just them recognizing it.
yeah, we either
But
recognizing it or just,
I think unfortunately most of them they think they're just so ignorant they think, oh well, this is just the best way things can be run. And it's just like
I
okay,
agree.
no, it's gonna you're just gonna see the rich get richer and the you know and the income inequality just go out of control. But
And I have to say
good
that's
luck.
that's not it though, because I remember when I was gung ho into the government thing, and I was talking about it a lot and stuff like that, and I actually spoke with some of the people who were always making videos about this or that, or always complaining about government and social media. And I started to ask them, I say, we keep complaining about this. It was like a year or two in, and I was like, why don't we just unite and make a government without, make a world without government and without money? And most of them was like, no. And the few of them they say yes, only a handful of those even showed up to the meeting. And then so I actually did a retreat, even though I led this one person out on this retreat, so we could meditate and try to make contact and things like that. And I was planning for a while. So on our first meeting, like 5 people showed up or 4 people showed up. I was like, awesome. I didn't expect nobody to show up. I was like, cool. I was like, man, we might actually get this thing going and do this thing. And I was like, okay, everybody just bring one more person next week, and we could just keep doing that, and it'll be building. I was having high hopes, but I was like, look, I have this thing planned. So I'm going to go out and do this retreat with this person. So y'all going to be here because we all decided how often we was going to meet. We decided 2 weeks. I was like, okay, well that's the week I'll be out of town, but we can still meet. And so it was like cool. So you can imagine what happened when I came back in town from the retreat. What was it? What happened? Yes, let him hear. I know you know what happened. You ain't gonna say it. Nobody showed up. That's what happened. And I contacted them. Two of them didn't even reply anymore. The other two was like, "Well, you go ahead and do it again, and I'll show up." I'm like, "What's the point?" Because all we're gonna do is have the same thing again. You have one person that's leading, and then they just pick that person off, and everybody else just go back into their little corners and wait till somebody else come to lead. Then that person start leading, and they pick that person off. So until everybody's willing and and courageous enough, or intelligent enough, or aware enough, for the people who don't even know and think this is the way it needs to be, or for the people who do know, until they're courageous enough and honest enough and to actually do something about it, then it's not going to change. But if you ever say it's just the way it is and we don't have a choice, that's never true. Or else
Yeah,
America
I
wouldn't
mean
exist if
that's
that was true.
yeah. I mean I think a lot of the you know elite, so-called elites, they want us to think that way for sure.
I can certainly see that.
But yeah,
Certainly helps them. And on the flat Earth thing, Crashes says like Spurs, you can't have a conversation with him. Is it that you were saying he's one of the people who might be not so honest, or just the denial, a sincere person who's just denying crashes?
yeah, Spurs just won't even like answer questions. Just,
I really only saw him once. I remember. I
yeah,
think that was on Sean G's channel, and they was having some kind of thing, but he left.
yeah, he really just seems like a troll, just pretending to be a flat earther,
Hmm.
just trying to get people all worked up, which he's pretty good at. But um,
Hmm.
but who knows? Ultimately, of course.
Yeah. I, at first, I thought all of them were like that. I would just, and I guess that was my denial, which I'll get into whenever I finish this documentary. I don't know how many installments it'll be, but I'll try to make everyone like 30 or 40 minutes or whatever. When I first heard about it, like, they can't be serious. But I knew
Oh
somebody.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, it's just, but
yeah,
hey,
yeah.
I know
I was the
somebody.
same. I was the same way until I was overhearing like six of them talk to each other outside of a Starbucks. I
Are
was
you
just like,
serious?
yeah, it was like over 2 years ago,
Hmm.
and it's the only time it's ever happened. And I was just like, holy shit! It's like for real. Like I thought they were just trying. It was just a big goof.
Yeah.
You know.
And there were no cameras. There was no. It was just you just
Yeah,
happened to run
yeah.
into.
Yeah. I mean, unless they're all trolling each other, this is like no way. That has, there's people that do believe it, and I can believe that because there are some really ignorant people out there, and then there's people that aren't that intelligent, and fall fall for anything. So
Yeah. And welcome, Physics Rules. And Mies King was saying as well that we always have a choice. I agree. And Crasher says, hence the right to bear arms. Definitely. I see they're attacking that every chance they can. Like now, apparently, I don't know if it's the people themselves are just that stupid and they're doing it themselves, or is one of them a plan, or one of them got paid, or what have you. But apparently, I saw this social media thing where the people who work at Walmart are trying to do walkouts and sign petitions that Walmart stop selling guns, which is what I realized months or years ago, that they were going to start trying to attack the sellers of guns. They're doing whatever they can to get us disarmed so that they can do whatever they want to us. Um, Definitely physics rule. So basically, what's going on is, over the last, I don't know, between 2 to 5 years, I've been I watched some videos on flat earthers and was debating them and facilitating debates with them and so on and so forth. And I've distilled what I've discovered to be the five top uh, uh, principles or criteria of the flat Earth, or the convex Earth, or the concave Earth, or the stationary Earth. And those five things are stupidity, ignorance, delusion, denial, and laziness. So this is a discussion after the first installment of the first part of the documentary, in which I just went through, and I'll kind of generally go reverse chronologically, but I may jump around as well. I'll get the link so I can post it here so people can know what we're talking about. But basically, I'll just go through and go through the debates I've had and the discussions I've had, and just do some quotes from these, and just point out the fact that these ideas and positions they have is either stupid, ignorant, delusional, lazy, uh, or denying. And Physics Rules Forever says I'm actually writing a paper on science-related conspiracy theories for a graduate course. Flat Earth would be a major component, yeah. So, you know, it's interesting. It's an interesting, not the flat Earth thing, of course, but it's an interesting thing of psychology. And I was starting to see that, I guess because, I don't know, it could be because they, whether consciously or subconsciously, they recognize that third has been like ran into the ground so bad, like with Greater Sapien and all these other guys, Sideman Dan and Fight the Flat Earth, and all these guys do such great debates and videos and things like that, just showing how stupid it is, cold-hearted logic. And now they're starting to say, like if you scroll up even on this chat, you'll see this guy hopped in and said, you need to research the convex Earth. Like, oh my gosh. I mean, on the actual original one. So, seems like they're starting to migrate to convex and concave.
Oh yeah, it's just a matter of time.
Yeah.
They'll just jump on some other thing that's
equally stupid, and you can see it in the same debates. Like I can't remember this guy's name, Stefan Molyneux. He was debating this. I guess he wasn't really debating, but this flat earth guy on. You saw that one?
Yeah, I saw that a while ago. Yeah, that was pretty good. I don't really like Stefan, but
yeah, exactly.
Still a good conversation.
Yeah. I do have my reservations with him as well. But like I said, it was a good conversation, and I noticed that whenever Stefan debunked something he said, he was like, "Oh, don't know about that, but here, look at this. Just go to the next thing." It's like, you know what I mean? It doesn't phase them at all. And I know
they're always like, "Well, what about B? What about C?
Yeah,
D, E, F?" And it's like, "Well, what about A?"
Yeah, exactly. And of course, we'll get into that with some of these debates. I remember when I was debating Fight the Deception, and he put this video that was supposedly proofs of wires in the videos. I think you saw that one. I was like, there's no evidence of wires. Where's the evidence of the wires? He had to admit there's no evidence. So we went to the first one, then we went to the second one. Then I started talking about just the general principle. And even weeks later, he would say, but we didn't go to the next one. I'm like, what the? We'll still be here going through another video. Well, hold up. We'll get this one. I mean, how many videos do we have? How many? It's just, but apparently it's just, I don't know. I guess that would be the denial and the delusion part of it. They just want to deny the fact that,
I mean, if they have the videos of like things going over the horizon, like bottom up, right? And they just make up some sort of bullshit. They make up their own physics, basically.
Yeah.
And it's too bad. I mean, if they really believe it, it's really too bad.
And it seems they do, man. I know at least one does. That's the horror sheet guy who that's the one.
I mean, they're out there, but yeah.
And Physics Rules Forever says, oh, and if anybody else wants to join, by the way, here's the link here. We'll post the link again for those who are here. And Physics Rules Forever says the problem is that flat earthers have never taken the time to understand the science they repeatedly claim is wrong. You are correct. That would be denial and delusion, which I touched upon in this video here. I mean, S.E. Montreal starts off by saying math is not his strong suit, but then he goes on to try to calculate better than these people whose math is their strong suit. It just makes absolutely no sense.
That and I find it just so absurd that it's like they basically have to believe that all these really smart people, right, in these fields are just they lack critical thinking and they're just indoctrinated and they never question anything that they've been taught. They
Yes.
don't, and even when they do the experiments, it's like it doesn't matter. It's like what?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's just to me. It's I just can't believe they like insult those people.
I
It's
agree.
like you have, you're able to communicate, through the internet and all stuff because of people like that, scientists. If they didn't, they weren't around, like you wouldn't have this fucking tech.
Yeah.
This tech just doesn't fucking grow, out of the ground.
Yeah. It's crazy,
Whatever.
man. That's a good point, and that's one of the things that started to. Because I remember I would start to ask them. I was like, "What are y'all saying? Are y'all saying like these people who?" And that's why I talked about uh uh Cecilia Payne. Like she spent decades studying thousands and thousands and thousands of stars, and somehow you know it's just a light because you look through a telescope one time and it wasn't even tuned properly. You know better than her. It's like it's amazing, man. Like I said, it's disrespectful, really. I mean, like I said, these people make the technology that they even utilize to spew their bullshit, and they like saying y'all an
Yeah.
idiot, or they're saying that they're lying. Like I remember Fight to the Session was saying that he thinks they're just honest and they're just um, you know what. And maybe I'm mixing him up with somebody else. I remember who it was, but they were saying that he thinks they're doing it just to get the paycheck, like they have to toe the line to get a paycheck, and apparently decade after decade and generation after generation, they're just saying what they know to be wrong just to get their paycheck. It's like it just. I remember I was
Oh
watching it,
yeah, that's like a horrible argument.
you know.
Whatever. Yeah.
But I guess that would to me fall more into the denial and delusion aspect of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Crash says through a telescope. I know. I mean, not even through a telescope, a P900, but I know some of them look through a telescope because I don't remember which one. It was a premiere I had, and Horace Sheet had came over, and he was saying he looked through a telescope and he just saw a light, and I was like, obviously you didn't tune it properly, or it was a low quality telescope, but that's good enough for them. They just look through one time and that's it. It's a group thing for some. Some will protect that with everything they have. So Angel Globe's head is saying, are you saying that the flat Earth people are protecting their position, their belief, or are you
Yeah,
saying,
it's like a community. It's like a social type of, you know.
yeah, like a weird type of cult? Well, usually you have to have
Yeah,
some kind of charismatic
And
leader.
and even Jose Gonzalez talked about that. He says that's probably like another big reason. Like even if someone were to be like in their mind, like, oh, this is all bullshit, but they'll just still like ride the flat Earth bus just so they don't lose all their contacts
Hmm.
because they know what will happen if
That's right.
you know because they'll get labeled as crazy, of course, if they go back to the globe.
That's right. And
Just a
probably
lot of
everybody they know, right? Because I know because it seemed like they, at least with Horace Sheet, he didn't want to talk to family anymore, didn't want to talk to friends anymore. He didn't want to talk to
oh
people who was
yeah,
flat Earth people. So
it's horrific. Like
yeah,
the it's sad all those stories that I've heard. Like, oh, I don't have, I lost all my friends and my family thinks I'm crazy. All this, like, oh my god, dude, it's too bad. Yeah.
the interesting thing though is like, for instance, somebody joins Scientology and they're like forced to break off from their relatives and friends because if they don't, they're not going to be able to get to heaven with L. Ron Hubbard or whatever. Yeah, but the flat Earth people, they just do it themselves. It's just
Yeah, yeah.
is amazing, man. It's amazing, and must be an inside joke. Crash is talking about a top secret bacon mission. Yeah, man. I'm gonna keep going through these videos. I don't know how often it'll be, and I plan on going through all the ones that I've done myself, of course, and maybe or maybe not do others, but God, I don't want to have a copyright issue or anything because I plan on like combining them into one in the end. But one that sticks out that I just wish I can use. I remember it just so speaks to delusion in the now. Like basically these guys that run this. Matter of fact, I could shouldn't be too much to just put it inside this little video here. I'll try to find it while I'm speaking about it a bit. But these guys did this um, disproving thing for some flat earth believers, and they like went out to this big body of water, whatever it was, a lake or what have you, or a bay, and they took this raft or whatever, and they took this big giant board that had horizontal lines on it, and the idea was to take it far enough into the water to where they can see the lines disappearing from the bottom up, and of course, is a series of lines you can count the lines that have disappeared, and you can see how much is being obscured by the horizon. And so they went and did the experiment, and sure enough, afterwards, the federal people didn't accept it, of course, and he didn't really expect them to anyway. But it's by these people for the Center for Inquiry. And but the interesting thing is about what happens towards the end. So I'll show this video really fast, and then we can talk about what happens. Oh, and that's my site, by the way, that's showing. So I'll go ahead and put this, make sure I got the proper link.
Yeah, I gotta run, but it was good talking to you, man.
Good talking to you as well, man. Thanks for joining.
Yeah, I'll see you later.
Psychic power from here on out. These are smarter than all the scientists in the world. That's amazing.
You believe? We know what we know.
Didn't really come here expecting to change any world. That's amazing.
I got their. It's a fact that we have more technology. Destroyed the technology.
Somehow get around and land at their original belief.
No, they admit they destroyed the technology to go to. It's a fact that they can't go to the moon anymore. It's a fact that we have more technology in our cell phone. We have more technology in our cell phone.
You guys are smarter than all the scientists in the world. That's amazing.
Let me find this point I want to.
We know what we know. You pay somebody to teach
Oh,
you.
here's the part right here. So keep in mind, these guys just did an experiment, like a real life, real world experiment just now for everybody to see. In front of their faces, they did an experiment. But let's listen to what these guys say about the people who just did this experiment.
You don't know what you believe. We know what we know. You pay somebody to teach you what you believe. You pay somebody to tell you what to believe. And all you do is regurgitate what they tell you onto a piece of paper.
No, man, I just did some science right here. I didn't regurgitate anything.
Yeah, you did.
Let's watch that again.
Somebody to know what we know. You pay somebody to teach you what you believe. You pay somebody to tell you what to believe. And all you do is regurgitate what they tell you onto a piece of paper.
No, man, I just did some science right here. I didn't regurgitate anything.
Yeah, you just.
I saw it with my own eyes. I mean.
So first of all, we see that they're based on belief. He's talking about what you believe. And that's one thing I've observed, like these people, they believe, and they can't seem to get the idea or the understanding that other people don't just believe, they actually do science. They actually get things worked out. But so first of all, there's that. And then he goes on to say, you pay people to tell you what to believe, when the guy just not did an experiment right there for everybody to see. So the level of denial and delusion is simply amazing. That you could actually literally right there do an experiment to support the claim you're making based upon direct evidence. And the people watch you do the experiment and then afterwards tell you you're just regurgitating what you pay people to tell you to believe. And of course they know what they believe, and anybody, any one of us who ever spoke to these people or debated them or see what they do, of course they just regurgitate what somebody said on usually a YouTube video. So ironically, they're talking about themselves, but they're too delusional and too much in denial to even realize it. Let me check out the chats and see what's going on. Yeah, and Age of the Globe says it'll be something like switching sides. And let me post a link to that video, by the way. A moment here. That was made. That was done by the Center for Inquiry. Center for Inquiry. So make sure I post a link to their video. But that's definitely one of the highlights of delusion and denial that you can see from these flat earth people. So Agent Globepay says it gotta be something like switching sides if they switch to the globe. Physics Rules Forever says, yes, flat earthers have formed a very tight-knit group, and as a result, many are unwilling to, quote, betray their family by accepting their wrong. And Crasher says, don't you know, all right, inside joke again. And Crasher says, And Physics Rules Forever says the best way to judge a conspiracy theory is by the number of additional conspiracy theories required to explain the first one. Flat Earth requires an endless number of additional conspiracy theories. Interesting idea, Physics Rules Forever. The best way to judge a conspiracy theory is by the number of additional conspiracy theories required to explain the first one. Flat Earth requires an endless number of additional conspiracy theories. And Crasher says, true. Inside joke again. Hey, what's going on, Sean Hawkins? And let me post a link again if anybody wants to join into the chat there while I finish reading through the comments here. Right. And Physics Rules Forever says, imagine what would happen if flat earthers had to rely solely on their fellow supporters. With zero flat earth engineers or doctors, they would basically live like people in the Middle Ages. You're exactly right. Is the proverbial biting the hand that feeds you to the umpteenth degree. Hey, what's going on, Crashers? Welcome. Okay, awesome.
Yep.
We can hear you now.
Yep, give me a minute and I'll have a more stable connection.
Sounds good. Everybody know the Spurs completely ignores my real-time atmospheric pressure data. Denial. Terrorism is live now with over 500 viewers. That tells me flat Earth is still alive. It's actually going down, at least based upon those who, like, what is his name? Greater Sapien was talking about how many comments he used to get on his videos, and how many debating he would have in his comments, and he was saying how it's gone down drastically. So, yeah, I could definitely see it going down. I used to get a lot more comments from people, but then I stopped. One thing I suggest, at least one thing I do, I know some people make a lot of money from doing the globe shot, like debating and having a whole lot of viewers and stuff, but I started having them back up their claims, simply not allowing them to just say a bunch of bullshit and just get away with it. And I noticed that fewer and fewer people wanted to talk to me from the flat Earth side, or the convex Earth side, or the concave Earth side, or the stationary Earth side, whatever. I notice fewer and fewer want to talk to me when I don't allow them to just get away with a bunch of bullshit and not back it up. So, yeah.
There we go. Is that better, Daryl?
Sounds good. Welcome. Thanks for joining.
Oh, not a problem. No, Spurs asked for data saying that atmospheric pressure wasn't caused by air temperature. And I gave him live feed data for my location and Colorado at the same temperature on the same day. And there's about a 3 psi difference.
Because of the altitude?
Yep.
What did he say?
Yeah, there's about a 3 psi difference based on altitude, and Spurs completely ignored it.
You just ignored it completely?
Yep.
Yeah. Denial. that would be in the denial.
First, he tried to say I got my data from NASA. I said, no, that's just a bunch of rednecks that have racetrack information so we can tune engines across the country, live feed daily. No, it's not NASA or anybody. We just use it to reliably tune what we do when we go to the racetrack. And he blew it off.
So basically, he was repeating basically the same argument that guy had in that clip. You pay somebody to tell you what to believe, rather than acknowledging that it's real world data that y'all getting from direct experimentation and observation.
Yep. Then he tried to say it was the water content in the atmosphere. I'm like, well, that's cool. That data's there too. And it's pretty close to the same, and we can correct for taking humidity out of the equation just so we know roughly what the air density is at that elevation.
And physics rules forever says so. Basically, flat Earth requires that all pilots are liars, all direct TV employees are liars, and on and on. I remember I saw somebody on Twitter, because I actually had some debates on Twitter as well. I'll get to those at some point and put those into the documentary. Too bad I didn't screen share all of them, because some of the people, when you start to show how stupid they are, they start to delete their tweets, and you can't access it anymore. But yeah, so one of them, somebody who was jumping in the debate and showed like some satellites from like some place on the equator, and showed how they was all just pointing straight up. And it was like, well, please, because some of the flat Earth people, they say, well, it's really satellites on the ground, and it's just they are lying about that, right? But they showed these satellites literally pointing straight up, because the satellite was literally straight up overhead, and the person just ran away. He didn't respond to it at all.
He's on Jose's a lot, and he does cable installs, and he was talking about that one day. Like, you can tell where the satellite's at. Go through your neighborhood and look at all the satellite dishes. Then go to the next town and look at all their satellite dishes. They'll all be pointed at the same place in the sky.
Mm-hmm. It's crazy, man.
That's my thing. That's my thing with the flat earthers at the moment. They ask for observable, repeatable shit, and you give it to them, and then they come up with a reason to deny it.
Exactly right. That's why I plan on not even, I guess I wouldn't mind talking to them, but I definitely won't put the time in like I did before, because like I said, it's just not really worth it. But I think it's very instructional to, at least for me, to see the principles that they seem to operate on, like the stupidity. And for those who's just joining, this is a discussion of a documentary I'm putting together, piece by piece, where I distill basically 5 different principles or characteristics of the flat Earth believers, or the concave Earth, or convex Earth, or stationary Earth, which is stupidity, ignorance, denial, delusion, and laziness. Those are the 5 characteristics that either one or some combination of them fits every single flat earther or globe denier, whatever flavor they have that I've met so far. And we're talking about now how they even deny satellites, which give them the satellite TV that they might be watching every day. But it's craziness.
Or, reliable Wi-Fi as soon as the Skynet or the Skylink satellites are up.
Hmm.
That you can see, we tracked when they first launched the first set of Skylink satellites. Me and a bunch of other people from across the planet tracked them pretty much around the planet before they spread out enough we couldn't see them reliably.
Make sure I'm understanding properly. Like you and other people around the world work together, and y'all say, okay, they're over my location now. Somebody else was like, oh, they're over my location now, like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome.
We're staying in touch so we could try and get pictures of them. I didn't get any pictures because the weather didn't cooperate here, but yeah.
Now, when you say they're dispersed, is it that they're still on the same trajectory, or did they actually deviate from that specific line and they're like in different orbits altogether?
They started moving slightly to their own orbits.
Okay.
When they get them up, it'll look like a giant fishnet around the entire globe. SpaceX has a really good explanation of how they're going to move and what all their orbits will be on their website.
I must say that's one thing I don't like about satellites, because I figure eventually there'll be enough satellites. At least, I could be wrong about this. I know they're very small, but it seems like if we could keep putting a whole bunch of stuff up there, it might start to interfere with astronomical observations. What do you think about that?
I think if it eventually will. I can't remember how many satellites they're putting in the Skylink system, and then Amazon got a bunch of satellites approved for their own system. And at some point, it's just going to be too crowded up there to do anything reliably.
Which, of course, we're going to have to rely on satellites for astronomical data, which I already have the Hubble up there. But yeah, I like being able to take my telescope out. Need to bring it to another observatory or something again.
But yeah, when they first came over and they were all lined up, you could see them. They stood out like crazy across the night sky.
And they still look the same. They're still lighted up. It's just harder to see that one little light now, right?
Yeah, I caught a glimpse of them between the clouds, and the only reason I could really catch them was because it looked like a bunch of stars moving faster than the stars that were already in the sky. That was the only reason I caught them. They ended up being really low on my horizon here when I saw them, and then got covered by the cloud cover.
Yeah, that Elon Musk, man, he's a genius, man. He's getting some stuff done. Physics Rules Forever says, my nephew was just accepted into Georgia Tech's aerospace engineering program. So according to Flat Earthers, he will just be wasting his time, I guess. Yep. I remember Fight the Flat Earth was talking with, he was debating somebody. And apparently, and he was talking about how he used to work on a submarine and used to have to like calculate the fuel to go from place to place or something to like that. And so he was saying, you know, you're saying that all these people who are doing this is lying. You would have to say I was lying as well because I had to calculate the fuel on a submarine. And the dude was like, well, maybe they changed the mat. So even though you calculated and you thought you was really calculating it, they changed the mat. So the mat came up to what you thought it needed to be, but really it was just.
It doesn't work that way.
Huh?
Said it doesn't work that way.
Yeah, that's what the dude said, man. Just go to Fight the Flat Earth. I don't remember when it was, but if you search through his videos, I'm sure you'll find it. But it had to have been only like about a month or two ago, within the last month or two.
I can't remember who it was against, but I think I remember that.
Yeah. Oh man, that'll be the delusion one, as far as I'm concerned. Very, very powerful delusion and denial. Yeah.
Lack of comprehension of 3D space at all. That's been the biggest one I've been on. They can't understand relative motion or motion reference frames at all.
Yeah. Just like the one we was listening to earlier with SC Montreal, when he was saying for some reason on the globe that Baumgartner would end up at 2,000 miles away with.
Yes, that doesn't work. In fact, I was trying to get everybody's attention, but it turned into Jose's flip-flop after show of a simple demonstration explaining that. Using the wheel on the front of my bike, surprisingly. I came up with off the top of my head, but it works as a reference point anyway.
Oh, there was an after show about that debate?
Jose, when as soon as he went off the air today, Southeast Montreal brought that up again today, and then when Jose switched to the new after show, we were discussing it.
Are you saying SC Montreal is still pushing that point?
Yes, he is.
Oh my gosh, that's just straight denial, delusion right there. It's amazing. Yeah. But go ahead.
I was just agreeing with what you said. Sorry.
No problem. And it's consistent with him, though. I remember I had a debate with him, and I can't remember the exact point, but it was something that I disproved. And then he was debating with Bandsaw Bandit like a week or two later, and he was coming with the same point. I had to stop. Look, we just talked about this 2 weeks ago. You couldn't answer anything. Why are you bringing up the same thing?
Exactly. And they'll say they're bad at math, and we're debating with people who want to jump into theoretical shit but can't do basic geometry like internal angles of triangle type shit.
Oh my gosh. You brought up a good one, man. I wish I could. I knew it must be in one of my debates or something somewhere where they say, oh, math is not real. It's just, that's just fake stuff, theoretical stuff. But then they want to talk about the shape of the earth, which in my understanding is geometry, like the shape of things. But then they want to dismiss geometry when it doesn't suit them.
They cherry pick it.
Yeah.
If it suits their facts, then good to go. If it doesn't, then out the window.
In my estimation, that'll be denial. It was going on cruising with Jay. You said good morning. What time is it by you? It's
Let's see where he's at. It'd still be early morning, early afternoon where he's at.
he's in what? He's in Australia?
Arizona.
Oh, Arizona. Early morning. What time? That's
It'd
what?
be noon, 1 o'clock there.
Ah, cool. Oh, that's a late sleeper right there. He must just woke up. He's like, man, it's morning to me. I feel that. I tried to wake up early today to make sure I don't stay up late and go to sleep late again, so I can wake up tomorrow on time.
No, I was out on the Harley until fucking 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning last night.
Uh-oh. Yeah, riding's fun. I had a bike years ago. Got stolen, but which I didn't mind because those things are expensive. But I had it for a good year. I had a Gixxer.
Expensive only depends on where you get them because I bought this Harley for less than $1,000.
Really? What year is it?
The 04 sports. It's just a little
That's not
Sportster.
bad.
No. Hold on. Hey, here. How do I do it?
What's the insurance on it?
Right now I only got liability on it, but I'll know more next week. There you go.
Awesome.
Just a little baby Sportster. I happened to be at a estate sale and nobody wanted it, so I figured it could use a new home.
Oh, that's pretty cute, man.
No, it is a cute bike. I look like a fat kid on it, but it rides good.
And cruising with Jay confirmed it, by the way. He just woke up. I know how it is. He says he's in New Mexico.
Yeah, I knew he was out that way somewhere.
So we'll see if anybody else wants to join. I'll probably close it up in a bit. So I want to see. I was mostly wanting to give any flat earthers their chance as well, even though I'm not so interested in advertising in them. This is going to be focused towards people who know us a globe. Like I wish there was something like this before I had to spend like a few years like talking to them to find out why. Because that's one thing that really irked me. Like, how can people possibly believe this? It was just unfathomable to me. But now it's very clear.
They just deny everything, or they either deny it or so intellectually dishonest they just don't give a fuck, or they're just in it for the money they're getting off their YouTubes and Facebooks and websites off of it.
To be the charlatans. I guess it's hard to tell which is which. I hear the term intellectual dishonesty, and I'm certain I understand what it means, but at the same time it seems like a very specialized term. Would you elaborate on intellectual dishonesty?
Just like if you walk somebody down each step of a math problem and you get to the solution, and then they'll agree with you all the way up until you get to the solution and deny the solution. It's kind of a catch-all term for they know you're right, but they won't admit you're right. They're being intellectually dishonest.
Why is the term intellectual added to it instead of just dishonest? Like, what is the? Because I guess I'm thinking more of it just dishonest, just plain dishonest. Like, why intellectual dishonesty? Why is that part added to it, you would say?
I'm not really sure. I've only heard it really used when you're applying to math problems that we all know the answers to. Basic geometry type math, angles to Polaris type shit, stuff that's simple math that you can walk them through and then they'll deny the solution to the problem. Even though there's only one answer that works to that problem. And they'll agree with everything up to whatever.
It reminds me.
I heard a new one. I heard a new one last night that an equilateral triangle with sides 2, 2, and 2 would have internal angles of 120 degrees.
A flat earther said that?
Yeah, oh yeah.
And you tried to walk him through that a triangle will always have 180 degrees, I'm sure. What did he say?
Oh, he just kept denying it. No, if I increase it, I started out with a triangle with sides 1, 1, and 1. And he said they'd be 60. I said, cool. So if I have a triangle with sides 2, 2, and 2, what did they be? 120. And he couldn't wrap his head around why, even though the sides of the triangles change length, why the angles wouldn't change.
And your impression was that he wasn't trolling, he was serious.
Oh, yeah. He just couldn't grasp why everything else could change on the triangle and the internal area of the triangle could change, but the angles wouldn't.
And these are the people who believe they understand the shape of the earth better than, what, Einstein and Elon Musk and... That's so funny. Oh, my gosh. It's hilarious, man.
Oh, it's great entertainment, but I've been going after I've been trolling the jet fuel hoax guys lately, so
Oh,
they're next target on my list.
oh, break that down. What's the jet fuel hoax going on thing?
There are people out there who believe that the passenger jets only require fuel for takeoff, and that once they're at cruising speed, that the force of the air coming through the front of that engine is enough to maintain thrust and altitude, or that they run on compressed air instead of gas. So yeah, they're special.
And to make sure I'm understanding, this is their understanding of how they can fake the amount of fuel that's really needed to go that long on a flat Earth.
Or on any flight, they don't really care if it's flat or round at this point. It's just the airlines are lying to us so they can charge higher ticket prices because they don't run the way the airlines say they do, or physics. So I got into it with one of them and said, "So y'all invented a perpetual motion machine. You should be getting a Nobel Peace Prize right now because it doesn't work." The only thing I agreed with them on is it uses more fuel on takeoff. I'll agree with that. It takes a hell of a lot more fuel to get that big bird accelerating and up to speed than it does to maintain cruising speed.
That's right.
I have no argument there at all, but you're not maintaining cruising speed without burning fuel to keep that turbine turning.
That's right. And of course, you will use less fuel as well, even if you're on the ground, assuming you could be on the ground and just maintain cruising speed. I mean, the air is denser and you're dragging on the ground, but in the air, it's less air pressure, so of course that'll help lessen the amount of fuel needed. But still, you need fuel, like you say, right?
Yeah. Hold on a second.
Right. And Cruising with Jay says, hold up, Agent Globe here. Before that, he says a great example of blatant denial is on Fight the Flat Earth channel, where the guy asked for a video of someone who flew over Antarctica, and he declared that's the evidence that'll kill his flat Earth belief. Long story short, Fight the Flat Earth showed him the video live, and he still denied it. Of course. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
You have an example like that as well? Another example?
Flat Out Hero and his maps making 390-degree turns.
Okay, hold up. What's this again? Maps making 390-degree turns?
On a globe, you can make 390-degree turns and end up back where you.
What you're saying? I got you.
And Flat Out Hero had that. What was it? $10,000 bet that's been proven to be done 3 times, and he just keeps denying everybody's answers to the problem that he proposed because he didn't think it could be done.
It's amazing all the different ways. Like that's one good thing about looking into this thing. You start to understand. At least I start to understand all the different ways that the globe, that physics and geometry, everything has to work because it's a globe. It's just so interesting. All the different proofs that we're on the globe when you look into it, honestly, or intellectually, honestly, however you want to put it. But yeah, that's awesome. I remember seeing somebody do an illustration of that, the 390-degree turns. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's works out quite nicely on a globe. Doesn't work on any other shape. Enough.
Even though now some of them are trying to call the Earth convex, I wonder if they're trying to some kind of way finagle their way into some of the things that they just find themselves unable to deny anymore. But I'm not going to look into it. I'm not going to waste my time looking into this stuff in detail anymore.
Yeah, I'm not going to convex rabbit hole. It's just going to be the same thing of they just twisted their narrative to fit their view so they could line up more things that work, but there's other shit that still doesn't work they can't explain.
That's right. And for some reason they want you to do the work. And of course when you do the work they deny it anyway. So it just I was on
Jose's show, what was that? Almost 2 weeks ago now, and got into the Spurs saying there was no atmospheric air pressure. And told him he was using the wrong gauges. Then showed him proof of that. Then he wanted proof that it wasn't caused by temperature. So I pulled up live feed data for him, and he still denies all of it. And that was me doing all the fucking work.
Exactly.
You're the one that's making the claim. Why don't you do some fucking work?
Exactly. That's the laziness aspect, by the way. That's what I deem to be the laziness aspect. I find. Like I remember talking with Stationary at Montreal. What was the debate? We had a debate. Oh yeah. He was saying that solar eclipses prove the Earth is not a globe, because you can't possibly have a shadow that's smaller than the object casting a shadow. So I got him to admit or acknowledge or state that, well, if you got an object that was very small and you got a light source that was very big, it would make a small shadow. I got him to admit that. I'm sure I have a recording of that, and I'm sure it'll be in this documentary. And so basically, I got him to admit if he get a very, very small object, but he never did it. Like a week or two later, he still never did it. And but then we had another debate. I think that was the day he was debating Black Bandsaw Bandit, and somebody had in a chat, I believe, said, I didn't even think about it. The sun is big. You take a ball out into the sun and you'll get the same effect. He was like, oh, okay, and he did that. So then I observed that when it was something that he actually had to actually, for instance, buy a big light source or buy a few light sources and put them together, or actually do something, he didn't want to do it. When it was as simple as just taking a ball that he already had and walking outside, oh, he did that right away. Laziness. But then he still denied that.
Yeah. When I say there's somebody just did a YouTube video of that. They took a ball and put it on a whiteboard and drew a circle around the outline of the ball. They walked back and climbed a ladder and showed that the shadow was smaller than the ball.
That's right.
And you can see him in the frame the whole time, because somebody tried to say he changed balls and blah, 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 but he didn't. It's the exact same ball.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not a huge change just because of the distance the shadow's covered, but it is a change.
I mean, even if it's like a very, very small change, you can see the haziness that comes around the shadow. Right, and it starts to make a what do you call it, a penumbra. But he didn't even, when we were talking about it, like it was clear to me that he was lazy, and I told him, I was like, look, I noticed that you didn't want to do the other thing, but you did this. I just want to point that out. But then we talked about this, and he was like, well, and I got him to admit what he could have did better. He said, well, I could have actually measured it, because he was just using his eye, and he didn't do it. How do you know that you can measure it to make it better or more accurate, and you just don't do it? It's crazy, man.
Well, Spur's whole thing, like, he pissed me off because he said that the pressure gradient is only, if a pressure gradient exists, it's solely caused by temperature. So that's not true, dude. Yeah, I'm about 600 feet above sea level where I live. Colorado is the Bandemers Raceway is 8,380 feet above sea level. So there's a huge pressure difference between here and there. And wouldn't you know it? Yeah, when I showed him that information, it was 84 degrees here and it was 83 degrees there. I can't get much closer than that in the real world, as far as demonstrating a pressure gradient.
You say that was Spurs?
Yeah, Spur Keysmo. He's been on this whole kick. He first started it on Fight the Flat Earth, where he said there is no measurable air pressure on the planet.
What did you say?
Nope. Oh yeah, he's got the difference between gauge pressure and absolute pressure and everything all mixed up. It's just he has no common sense.
Yeah, could just be stupidity, like you say, no common sense. It seems some people are saying he might be a troll or a shill. I don't know about that, but if he is, that'll be denial. But he's denying the facts to make a buck.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he might be a troll, but no, it's just saying he. And like I said, me and him got into it.
And Cruising with Jay says, I had asked Berkismo what are the four forces acting upon an aircraft in level flight. He couldn't answer it, and later stated there are no forces acting on an aircraft.
Yep. Even
after I told him to look it up, he wouldn't. Cruising with Jay says the guy was the best listener. It was more of a lesson than a debate. And Cruising with Jay says Crashes and I were both on that one together. Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's wild, man. But cool. Anybody else want to join and have any closing words? I'll go ahead and close it up and have another video out next week. You have any closing remarks you want to do, Cruising with Jay? Crashes. I was looking at Cruising with Jay. Crashes?
I'm just waiting for them to install my cable so I can get back to my late night streams. But so like I said, we just got done with the move and moved out to the country, but they have not got my Wi-Fi installed out here yet.
So right now you're on what? You like on your phone, like the
I'm on my phone.
Ah. Oh, it's pretty stable. I know it's not stable enough for like a real stream, but that's surprisingly good. Technology is getting a whole lot better.
Yeah.
But cool, guys. Thanks y'all for joining. I hope y'all enjoyed the first part of the documentary. I'll put the link into the chat again one more time before I go. And I'm not sure how often I'll make more installments, but I plan on getting through all the videos and live streams I've done and going through and showing either the stupidity, ignorance, denial, delusion, or laziness of these flat earth people for the entertainment and education of those who know that the earth is a globe and is wondering how and why these people could actually believe and accept this. And so to next time we have our RTS show, y'all be cool. Thank y'all for joining.
Yep. You have a good one, Daryl.
All right, man, you be cool.
Yep.